Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. The Democrats, they're saying peaceful protesting when violent acts are taking place. Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. If you haven't already, please like, follow, and subscribe. Please share this video. I have a special guest that's going to talk about this information and so much more. But the New York is actually popping off as well. Have y'all seen the rioting that's taking place? And of course, the Democrats, they're saying this is all peaceful protesting. They're just using their freedom of speech. And in New York, to my understanding, they're rioting because this young male came to the United States of America, going to Colombia, and he's actually inciting violence. And there's been violence, and he's actually calling for the eradication of the United States of America. Should we allow them to stay in the United States of America? Now, the Democrats are saying he's just exercising his First Amendment rights. Now, last time I looked, maybe I got it all wrong. But if you're not an American citizen, do you actually have constitutional rights? And to my understanding, the only constitutional rights that you have is you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be held against you in the court of law. Anything else like the First Amendment, Second Amendment, Third Amendment, I don't think they have those rights. But now Tesla facilities, these car dealerships, are getting attacked. Even if you're riding down the street in a Tesla, especially the Tesla truck, they really got something about the Tesla truck. But if you're riding down the street in a Tesla truck, you're liable to get attacked by a radical leftist. Well, I think that is a terrorist act. Remember, they try to talk about the Proud Boys and the 1%ers, the 3%ers, et cetera, saying that they're calling them a domestic terrorist group. But Trans-Tifa, nope, they're not a domestic terrorist group. BLM, not a domestic terrorist group. All of that is fine, according to the left. And it really makes me think about, remember during the Summer of Love when everything, the city was on fire behind them? And they said, but it's mostly peaceful. You can't make this stuff up. Well, to have this discussion and talk more about this, we have John Ritchie, is a former CIA officer with 35 years of experience. He also specialized in global risk crisis management and cyber defense, which I want to talk about that as well. And he is the host of Output with John Ritchie. Sir, thank you so much for joining me.
Hey, thanks for having me on, Will.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm pretty sure you're aware of what's been taking place, how they're saying that this is, them just peacefully protesting at the car dealerships, at these Tesla car dealerships. How do they get off of saying that this is just them protesting? And you know what else it makes me think about? When, the Dobbs, Roe versus Wade got pushed back to the states, and then they showed up at the Supreme Court justices' homes. But as long as they're peacefully protesting, it's okay. But they were not there to peacefully protest. I've never known for Democrats to show up to peacefully protest anything. So, right. And answer my question about the Constitution. Am I off the mark there?
Well, no. Anybody who's here, first of all, if you come here on a visitor status, whether you're a green card, a resident, whatever's been given to you, that status is predicated on you, being in compliance with the law. You can't come here and misbehave and do whatever you feel like doing criminally and think you can stay here. The government has a right to revoke a visitor's a visitor visa, a student visa, a green card, a residency. These are all things within the right of the country, this government, to do. So sending people home that come here and try to behave in an unlawful fashion, try to overthrow your country and things like that, try to create riots and push people to do things that they shouldn't do under a legal pretense or an illegal pretense. No, they can, those visas that they're given and green cards are all revocable by the U.S. government. Absolutely.
Yeah. And, because I've been to different rallies where they were protesting about the illegals in the United States of America, and they were saying that they have constitutional rights, know your constitutional rights. And I'm like, they don't have constitutional rights other than the right to remain silent. Anything you say can be held against you in the court of law. But
I think we've got about 1,500 J6ers that would have to complain a little bit about their rights, because these were U.S. citizens that were not even given due process in most cases. So,
Yeah.
no, absolutely.
Yeah, and I find that interesting because the J6ers, they didn't get their due process, but they're wanting to give due process to these people that came into the country already committed a crime. They're already here illegally. They're not supposed to be here, but they get all of the access to the law system that, the NGOs will pay for.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this about the whole thing with Tesla. Now, they're attacking these dealerships because Elon Musk is working with President Trump. And it's not like Elon Musk is trying to take down the country or trying to make things worse for everybody. And you don't even have to join X. You don't have to buy a Tesla yourself. What is the objective of them, in your opinion, of them attacking these Tesla facilities?
Yeah. Will, this started back in the Summer of Love because the language is the same. These people claim to be doing peaceful protests. That's what they said all summer, after right before the 2020 election. And what did they use that premise of peaceful protest? And actually, I think the first Trump administration bought into that. A lot of the people around him encouraged him to do that. So he played by their rules. And of course, we saw what happened. They destroyed the entire country, but then 4 hours of protest on the Capitol was not allowed. So we see the difference here, and it's a difference in they've got a set of rules they play by, and that is, and you saw it with this Valerie Costa woman who went online and she talked about how she was even stalking Elon Musk and claimed that Luigi Mangione rules would apply here. I mean, she talks in that detail about Elon Musk and about also going in and attacking Tesla, these Tesla facilities. So there's one thing about it. But I think this time around, Trump hears that language. Peaceful protests, mostly peaceful protests, and he's not accepting that. The behavior and the activities are unlawful, period. There is no law that protects you to go into a Tesla dealership or to go to a person that owns a Tesla and destroy things. There's just nothing there. So for him to say, hey, this is unlawful behavior, and now he's even raising the bar a little bit. And he's saying, not only am I going to call this unlawful, I'm going to throw this under terrorism activities because we see who's doing this, who's encouraging this, linking to what you were talking about earlier about the not just the attacks on Elon, but the cyber attacks and things like that. So he's seeing an opening here. But I'm going to tell you, Trump is not going to play by the rules this time. He's already made it clear. He's put the people in place that are going to support him this time. And if he has to go in and quash some of this unlawful, illegal conduct, he's got a right to do it.
Yeah, he has every right to do it. And it's amazing to me how they're trying to say that this is just peaceful protesting. Let me give you an example. Now, they don't say that it's peaceful protesting in this clip. This was on MSDNC. But right when it gets towards the end of the clip, if you can split screen it for us, right when it gets to the end of this clip, she's going to go saying that, these were just them peacefully protesting at a business. They're protesting against a business. Basically, she's going to try to justify it. Listen to this.
But then you also overnight have this post claiming that protests at Tesla dealerships are illegal. He said today he would label violence against dealerships domestic terrorism. Now, I am judicious in how I play this sound, but I think you need to hear it from him.
Mr. President talks about some of the violence that's been going on around the country at dealerships. Some say they should be labeled domestic terrorists.
I will do that. I'll do it. I'm going to stop them. We catch anybody doing it because they're harming a great American company. Let me tell you, you do it to Tesla and you do it to any company, we're going to catch you and you're going to go through hell.
So just to be clear, you protest a private company, you are labeled by this administration a domestic terrorist.
This is the amazing part to me. At the bottom in their lower third, they have Trump says he will label violence against Tesla as domestic terrorists, but she conveniently left out the violence part as if they're just peacefully protesting.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, we're not talking about people that stand out on the curb with a sign in their hand saying, boycott Tesla. We're talking about people that are going in and attacking people, attacking assets, disrupting operations. And this, like you said, I mean, this affects your economy. This is an American company. And we have to get to a point where we understand that these people, just like in the Summer of Love, the George Floyd protests, these people out there that are being disrupted, their business burned, they're being attacked, they have civil rights, they have civil liberties, they have protections under our laws. And during that summer, it was not given to them. Their businesses were burned down. How many cops died during the Summer of Love? 18, I think, that were killed.
Yes.
I'm talking about during these riots. I'm not talking about that nonsense up on Capitol Hill. I'm saying that you had 18 officers assaulted and murdered that summer. The people of this country have rights and protections against that behavior. And if it falls under domestic terrorism, then it does. If the laws apply, they apply. And we have to enforce them. There has to be accountability, or they'll do it forever. They'll keep going.
There needs to be accountability, because when, as I brought up before, when the Supreme Court justice put Roe versus Wade back to the states, then they were showing at the Supreme Court justice home, and it's already against the law to do that in the first place, but they were justifying it. They were allowing it to go on for days with no consequences. And now President Trump is in office, and he's bringing it to an end. It should have never happened in the first place. They don't peacefully protest either. They don't peacefully protest.
No,
let me ask you this. Let me ask you this, because you being a former CIA member, is it possible, and you might not be able to answer this, is it possible that the CIA might be behind a lot of this? Because we know that Act Blue, they're behind a lot of the terrorist attacks that we're seeing in the United States of America. They're actually funding this, and information about Act Blue was just released about how George Soros, and I forget, there's a few other ones that are involved.
Reid Hoffman and Leah Hendricks.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. The funding that's been going to these NGOs, these non-government. I love to hear that. Non-government.
Exactly.
No, Will, I mean, is it possible? I'm going to tell you it's likely. It's most likely, because look, and I've talked about this on other shows before. One of the things that we've got to be aware of is that whenever you kick the Marxists out of Washington, D.C., or out of any country, when they get repelled out of a country, let's say Hungary and Orban and US and Trump, anywhere where you have nationalism and the people taking back their governments, they get kicked out. The one thing that they don't do is go away. All they do is they find what we call exiled operations. So what they do is they go offshore. They set up in friendly countries that are going to allow them to conduct activities that are there to subvert the target country. In this case, let's call it the U.S. And they're going to set up in those places. Where would those places be? Well, right now, you got a friendly government to them in the UK. You're trying to steal Romania. One of the reasons why they do not want Georgescu in Romania as that president is because they can go in there and set up now, because the Ukraine's demolished. They're going to try to find offshore friendly places where they can set up money, where they can develop and raise capital, where they can develop operations, cyber operations and cyber attacks. These are things they're going to do from those places, and they're going to do them against the United States. That's why USAID was so important. That's why when you see that Elon Musk was in there doing this before Trump ever even won that election. He already had this mapped out. How long did it take him from the day Trump put his hand on the Bible to the day Elon Musk came out and he said,
yeah,
USAID is a criminal enterprise.
It really is.
He already had it mapped out. He already knew where to go first. He went there first, then the Treasury, then, some of these other places, because you have to, the way you stop these exiled operations against the United States, cut off their funding, cut off their ability to recruit, and cut off their ability to train.
Yeah.
Those are the three things they have to do to be able to create that operation.
Yeah. Talking about USAID, to my understanding, when President Trump did the executive order to stop all outgoing funding for 90 days, they still said, I guess they were thinking they were operating outside of President Trump's executive order, and they were still sending out money, which caused a red flag to pop up on them. All they had to do was lay low for 90 days, and they probably could have resumed business as usual. But they were concerned because President Trump at some point was probably going to find out about it. But they just brought themselves to the surface really quick with all of that.
No, you're right. You're right. One of the things that has to happen here, Will, is this country has to have a whole of government asset recovery, and it started. But they have to go find. Let me tell you, let's go back to the beginning of Biden. The beginning of Biden, we were about, 19 trillion in debt. And then COVID and all the other stuff, we're looking at we probably got about $17 trillion that has been deployed out of our coffers and out into the ethosphere over the past 4 years. Now, that $17 trillion didn't just disappear. It just didn't dissipate. It wasn't spent anywhere. You may be able to come and show me where a couple of trillion were spent, but for the most part, that money's still out there. And we have to go get that money, because what they're trying to do is to be able to go and access that money. That's why what Lee Zeldin talked about pushing the gold bars over the Titanic. They were putting them in places where they thought they were still going to be able to access it, whether it's sitting in a Citibank account somewhere or any bank account somewhere, or whether it's bought assets. We need to seize those assets. Those belong to the United States, to the people of this country. That money needs to come back. And that's where we have to start looking at how we have to go on the offense. We cannot let them set up like they did last time. They set up out in the Ukraine.
Yep.
And they spent 4 years coming after Trump and anybody that wore the MAGA hats. So that's what they're going to try to do again, or they think they are.
Yeah.
And that's where we have to keep our foot on the pedal. We cannot stop. You cannot play by their rules. And that's what they want with this Tesla thing. Play by our rules. We said this is peaceful protest, so you can't do anything. It's all nonsense. He needs to go out, put that stuff down, quash it early. Don't even let it get traction. Stop it right off the bat. Nip it at the bud.
Well, the fact that they're attacking Elon and they're saying that they're attacking Elon, but they're essentially attacking innocent people that just go to work and and for the most part, people just want a job and they're working at these Tesla. And it's not even just Tesla facilities. It's other locations that President Trump said, if they're going to be violent and they're going to act out, then you're going to be labeled as a domestic terrorist.
Yeah.
And it rightfully so. I mean, and I like what you said. President Trump needs to nip it in the bud right away. Don't even play around with it. Don't even see if they're going to calm down. They continue doing it. Go ahead and get them, arrest them, make an example of them so they'll go ahead and stop.
Yeah. No, until that happens, though, and that has to happen on every single front. We're missing one here, and I see a lot of people in the media and social media on, coming from the Trump support side, the America First side, that are talking about this, and they've said, where is the accountability of these people that have been in D.C. for the last 4 years, taking the civil liberties of the American people, attacking the American people, stealing your money? I have a question for you. Samantha Powers took over USAID. When she took over at the beginning of the Biden administration, she came out of the UN. She was worth $6 million. In 4 years, she should have to account for $33 million.
Wow.
Where did she get that money from? Where did that money come from? Unless you can show me a lottery ticket or a death certificate of a millionaire that left you a bunch of money in a will, you've got some explaining to do. Because if that $33 million belongs to the American people, not only do we need to be seizing her assets and taking that money back, but she needs to have some criminal referral there.
Oh, my goodness,
criminal indictment. That's theft. It's not fraud. It's not, we misspent, we misallocated. No, that's theft.
Yeah.
And it's been happening on a mass scale in D.C.
And let me ask you this, because a lot of what I've seen happen in the past is that when the corruption comes to the surface and then people start asking questions, And this just happened this week, even with Act Blue. For example, when all this information came out about them taking money in, then all of a sudden you get people resigning. Well, I'm going to resign, so that way you can leave me alone because I'm resigning. I'm stepping down. And I'm pretty sure you've seen that happen. I've seen it throughout the years, and I'm like, how is this possible? So they basically, we're going to go rob a bank, but we're going to get the money back if we get caught. So then that way you don't put us in jail. I mean, that's what's happening here.
Yeah. No, you may get a little bit of a break, but you're not going to get out of it. There still has to be some accountability here. And look, I think the people in Trump's sphere, I think they're coming. I just think that there needs to be some messaging.
Yeah.
There needs to be an understanding, and it needs to come from Trump. It needs to come from Bondi and from Kash Patel. He's been silent. I haven't heard from him. We need to hear from these people that, hey, accountability will be done for those who have done wrong things, and that's going to go forward. Even if that's what you say. You don't have to tell us who it is. You don't have to tell, but you got to let us know something's going on here. It's been very quiet.
Why do you think it's been quiet? Do you think they're waiting on Dan Bongino to join the team before they actually go out?
It could be. It could be something we just don't know. It could be. There could be a legal aspect to it that they want to make sure their cases are airtight. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah. But I think that you're going to hear more and more now. I have confidence that Donald Trump's going to do it. He said he was. He went through this. They've tried to kill him. They tried to jail him. They've done everything.
Oh my goodness.
The idea that he would sit back and go, I'm going to let him off this time. I don't see that comment.
I sure hope not. I sure hope not.
Yeah, I do too. And I think because what he's doing here is not just for him. It's for the American people. The American people have been under attack, under siege for 4 years by these Marxists that commandeered D.C.
Yes.
And we got to chase them out. They have to be cleaned out of the system.
Yep.
And if they did things unlawful, Liz Cheney, Kinzinger, Matt, Shifty Shift or whatever.
Pelosi.
I mean, these people are going to have to be held accountable. They're not above the law. They say it all the time.
Yeah.
Guess who else is not above the law? You're not.
Yeah, exactly. You know what, John? I've been saying this for maybe over a year now, that if President Trump wants to go back into the White House, if he does not get these people and not just, being vengeful, but if he doesn't hold them responsible for what you just said, for what they've done, not just to him, but what they've done to the American people, what's going to end up happening, and as of right now, it's just my opinion, what's going to end up happening is that once President Trump, he's done with his 4 years, and if the Democrats, make their way back into the White House, the Senate, and the House of Representatives, guess what's going to happen? They're going to implement the biggest tyranny that this country has ever seen if President Trump doesn't hold them accountable and responsible for what they've done. If he doesn't hold them responsible, they're going to take it as, well, we were able to do it. They didn't do anything really dramatic to us, so we're going to do it again, but next time it will be 10 times worse.
Oh, I agree. I think you think 1,500 J6ers was bad. Wait till you get a couple of 100,000 or a couple of million that are going to be displaced or under siege, arrested, things like that. And I could see them doing that quite in bringing in foreign powers to help enforce it, to help do these things. They'd have to. And so you're going to see I think it would be a terrible situation. You can't let them back into power after what we saw them do for the past 4 years, the lawlessness that went on. You could never, we wouldn't have a country. You wouldn't, you might as well, tear up your passport, because this country is never going to survive, would never survive another 4 years of a Harris, Obama type, Soros funded
Marxist.
It would be ridiculous.
Straight up Marxist. So I know your time is precious, and I want to thank you so much for coming on with me. I just got one more question for you. Do you think Zelensky is actually going to honor this deal that he said he's made with President Trump? Because there's been multiple times that Zelensky would have a conversation with Marco Rubio, President Trump, behind closed doors, but then he'd come out in the public and say something completely different. Do you think he's going to stick with it this time? And do you think Putin is going to agree to the conditions?
I'm going to be honest with you. I think that if Zelensky is the reason Zelensky has ceded to this ceasefire is because Trump he's backed off totally, and Russia has gone in and pounded the crap out of them.
Yeah.
Those high tonnage bombs in Kursk. What he's done in the last week probably has done more damage than what's been done in the last 3 months.
So he's kind of forcing Zelensky to come to the negotiation table.
He's saying, look, if you want to have a country, and I think at some point, I think Trump's going to move Zelensky on. I think right now Trump's just trying to deal with things here and trying to get all his people in place and start doing some of the domestic stuff. But I think at some point Trump's going to have a hard and long discussion with his national security advisors and people and Rubio, and they're going to start talking about Zelensky's succession.
Yeah.
But I'm all for what he's doing. I hear all this stuff about Russia this and Russia that. I don't care about that stuff anymore. Russia has everybody says, well, this would never have happened if Russia hadn't attacked. Well, yeah, it wouldn't have happened, but Russia wouldn't have attacked. Did you not kept telling Ukraine and Zelensky you were going to move them into NATO?
It is. And it's so amazing. They keep ignoring that part. They completely ignore that part. So
yeah. So I'm all for it. I think I don't think Zelensky's got. Trump said it best. You got no cards, and he doesn't.
Yeah.
He doesn't.
Well, sir, John Ritchie, thank you so much for taking your time out and having this discussion with me. We got your X page up here, your X account, so everyone can connect with you there.
John Ritchie. Yep. And we got some good stuff coming out as well. I'm going to be relaunching my show next month, Output with John Ritchie. I was on cdm.press, and I'm going to go ahead and move it to a more digital space, so it'll be pretty good. So follow me on X, and I'll let you know as we get that up and going, and we're ready to get that launched.
Awesome. And you know what? Your name on X, I am John Ritchie. On my X, I have I'm Mr. Will Johnson.
Oh, yeah. I've seen yours, so I didn't know that, but I saw yours. That's great.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Pretty awesome. Sir, thank you so much.
No, thanks, Will. Thanks for having me.
All right. God bless.
God bless you.
All right. So it's amazing. You know, the Democrats, they're no longer dealing with common sense. Wait a minute. Let me retract that. I don't think the Democrats ever dealt with common sense. And that's what President Trump has been saying here lately, that we are the common sense party. We're all about common sense, and we're going to continue pushing common sense. And the Democrats, they don't like it because it makes common sense. I mean, common sense come into play what President Trump is currently doing. And I love the fact what President Trump is doing when it comes to the USAID, when it comes to the federal government. And just yesterday, last night, to my understanding, was it the Education, the Department of Education, they just laid off. Did we get an actual number on that, Shannon, on how many people they laid off on the Department of Education last night? I know it was a pretty large number, to the point to where it's going to cause 1,300 people.
15, yeah. And they closed offices in New York, Boston, Dallas, Chicago, and San Francisco.
Interesting. So I'm kind of glad that they did it. And let me just share a quick video with you. This was on CNN, and they're talking about the inflation. And of course, when President Trump came into office, he still hasn't brought the price of eggs down. It's been 2 days. He hadn't brought the price of eggs. Well, price of eggs are down now. The cost of living apparently is coming down. And I want y'all to listen to this. It's a short video report about the inflation. And Shannon, when I first listened to this clip, they're kind of like cheerful on CNN about what President Trump is doing here. I thought it was a little odd.
Finally, we have some good news on the economy and really the number one issue for many Americans, the cost of living. So we just learned that consumer prices in February increased by 2.8% year over year, 0.2% month over month. Both of these figures were a step in the right direction, and both were better than expected. So this is definitely very encouraging to see, because it's going to, I think, relieve some fears that inflation was perhaps re-accelerating, because this actually breaks a streak of 4 straight months where I think you could see it on the chart all the way to the right, where the inflation rate was going in the wrong direction, right? It was going higher and higher. Finally, we're seeing it dip.
So now look at that. So President Trump is constantly on that trend of going down. And this is not something that the Democrats wanted to see. They wanted to see just the opposite. They really did. Now, speaking about some of the violence that we've been seeing, again, let me play one more clip, and then I have another guest that I want to bring on to talk a little bit about this. This was some of the violence that was taking place in New York. And of course, they're being aggressive towards police officers, and police officers allowing them to be out there because you can protest as long as you protest peacefully. But as I said before, the Democrats, I've never known for them to actually want to show up to peacefully protest for anything. I mean, absolutely nothing. And when police officers are there, they'll be violent towards police officers as much as possible. Look at this. And of course, all of this is dealing with the guy that was at Columbia, where he was actually inciting violence against the United States of America and Jewish people. And now they're out here protesting against the government for basically saying you're going to get deported. Now, all of these people that you see here, I don't know how many of them are actually here on a visa or even a green card. But facial recognition should take their images because they're wearing these, what do they call them? I forget the exact term, what they call it, the one right here. But it's all representative of Hamas. That's the reason why they're doing this. They're supporting Hamas. They're supporting the terrorist acts that have been taking place. And I think they should be, if they're not here and they're not actual American citizens, they should be deported. Look at this. And they're not out here to peacefully protest. I mean, let's just keep it real. That's not the reason why they're here. They're waving a Hamas Palestinian flag. That's what I call it. Same thing for the most part. No American flags because they don't like this country. And this is New York. New York. I don't get it. Well, let's have this discussion with this young man, Brett from Satellite. And Brett, I've known him for a while. Huh? Yep. Sat phone. And this young man is ex-military. Thank you so much for joining me, Brett Miller. Brett, the violence that we're seeing happening across the country, and I was just talking to a former CIA member, John Ritchie, where he was explaining that, he possibly believed that the CIA might have something in it, involvement in what's taking place around the country. This violence that we're seeing, do you think President Trump is going to okay, I'm not going to play around this time. We're not going to have a Attorney General Barr and allow it to go on and on. We're going to nip it in the bud. And why do you think we haven't heard much from Kash Patel and Pam Bondi?
Your questions are my questions, sir. The inaction is inexcusable at this point, right? I mean, the sad part is, there is a lot of violence happening. One of the reporters, Jamie White, was just murdered in front of his home, one of the InfoWars reporters, just Monday morning at midnight. And then Chase Geiser got swatted yesterday at 5 a.m. or 4 a.m. So there's a lot of attacks going on of reporters, of Americans, of patriots, across the globe, right? Well, across the nation right now, it would appear. So, I think as to why we're not seeing, or why we've been made all these promises and they haven't come true to date, I'm not sure. I heard Alina Habba the other day say that they're taking their time to go through it and that they are going to follow through with some prosecutions. And I can only hope and pray that they do that according to the Constitution and the laws of this land. But yeah, I mean, the inaction is speaking very loudly to many Americans right now, because though we all feel that we're in a safer place, it doesn't necessarily feel that much safer, and certainly no criminals have gone to jail yet. So
yeah,
we're all just patiently waiting.
A lot of people is like, when is the first arrest going to take place? And I believe maybe they're waiting on Dan Bongino to show up before they actually go. And as I was talking to John Ritchie, where he was suggesting that maybe they're just getting all of their ducks in a row, making sure that all the arrest warrants and all of this is, and they're probably doing it. I'm hoping this is what they're doing, because if we don't see any arrests take place, we will know that we're gonna be in trouble. Once President Trump leaves, we're gonna be in trouble, and as soon as the Democrats get control of the House or the Senate, that we're gonna be in big trouble if he doesn't start getting these people. And some of these politicians need to be held responsible for their actions too, especially when their connection with, Act Blue and their connection with all of this other terrorist attacks that's been happening in the country and all the money laundering. I mean, my goodness, the money laundering is through the roof. And the people who's involved in it, they're the main ones screaming, oh, who dare you look at this information?
We've come to the conclusion that everyone in Congress is a thief, and that no American tax dollar has gone to an American program. Probably, my guess would be for the last 20 years, but let's just safely assume certainly not in the last 4 years. And yeah, I mean, why Americans would ever want to pay taxes again would be beyond me. However, I'm going to leave that to the individuals to make their own decisions. What I would say, though, and just to kind of bring it back to where my core focus is and what's going on in our world is, if you check out there's a website called Down Detector. Now, I have no relationship with this company. However, we have had rolling blackouts and multiple state actor DOS attacks on many of the largest companies in the world, including phone companies, television companies. Twitter, many has been under constant attack for the last 48 to 72 hours. Rumble went down, Venmo went down, Verizon got hit, Cricket Mobile got hit, AT&T got hit. So, wow. I'm bringing that all up because, yeah, there's some things happening while we're all paying attention to one thing. There's a lot of other things that are taking place. Now, a hack or an attack of this size probably could only be carried out by a state actor. So, or a state institution, say maybe like a country, or a large agency that is having their funding cutting because they were getting a lot of money from USAID. So there are a lot of things going on in the world right now. And what we really want to do is just emphasize to people that, though your government may be saying that they're there for you, they're not. FEMA never showed up for North Carolina. FEMA has not shown up for Pacific Palisades. Lahaina got $700 and we never heard anything from them again. It's like the things that are taking place in the world and at home here in our nation are really showing Americans that if you're not prepared on your own for you and your family, you're going to become a victim in one way or another, whether it's a victim of a natural disaster that, takes away your precious, your valuables, your home, what have you, or you may be a victim of violence or crime because, we hear Tom Holman saying he's collecting people and what have you, but there's millions of people who are not in the mindset of trying to better this country, but in fact trying to tear it apart. So, again, without instilling the fear and without, trying to scare people, we just want to prepare people. Everybody needs, in a firefight, when the bullets stop flying, everybody starts to reload, reinforce, right? You start to pack, you start to take a account of all you have, and
right?
What the enemy's doing, and so I think that's where we're in right now. I think now's the time for all of us to just reload, resupply, realize what we missed this last 4 years, so that if anything takes place moving forward, we're all ready for it.
Well, they could probably use this opportunity while we're looking at President Trump as he's, basically draining the swamp, which is really good. A lot of the draining is happening, and they're upset about the drain. They're saying, well, you're getting rid of workers, people that need these jobs, and all their whole purpose is to undermine President Trump. And they don't like the fact that President Trump, and you know what, the swamp has multiple drains, and President Trump found these drains and he's draining them, and they don't know how to respond to it other than to act out. All of these politicians, they were protesting in front of USAID, trying to fight for it. And now they're constantly saying that Social Security, he's going to get rid of Social Security. No, he said it multiple times. Social Security, Medicare, he's not going to get rid of them. The thing that they're going to address is the fraud that's taking place. But with that said, and you're right, while we're looking at President Trump and he's actually making positive waves in the country, they're probably regrouping too. So we need to prepare because right now, President Trump got the shield shielding us from the arrows of the evil left. And we need to prepare for what they possibly could do in the future. Now, I'd rather be prepared and nothing happens, which would not hurt my feelings. But imagine not being prepared and something does happen. And even with all of that, just being prepared, there's a reason why people should go to prepgearplus.com. And I've said this multiple times, because you just might be going on a trip. You know, enjoy these 4 years, right? Enjoy these 4 years. Enjoy the economy coming back. I just showed where the inflation is happening. And, you know, pick up a satellite phone, just like one of these that I have here, a satellite phone, the Bivy stick. There's so many benefits of getting and going to Prep Gear Plus and getting the gear that's available. And one of the things is that bulletproof backpack. Oh, my goodness. I love that.
All the time. You never know. I give them to my kids. You know, I pass them out to teachers. They make a great gift, you know, not to scare, but to prepare. It's another level of safety. We all need to take personal responsibility and personal accountability for ourselves and the ones we love. You know, you can blame anybody you want. You know, you can blame President Trump. We can blame, you know, corrupt Congress, you know, whatever. I mean, there's plenty of people to blame. There's tons of people to blame because they're all doing bad things. I mean, swamps are filled with rats, snakes, and alligators. So, you know, obviously there's a lot of bad actors in there. But however, when it comes down to you and your personal safety, what you're going to do in an emergency that's happening with you and your family, the buck stops with you.
Yes.
You need to be the one. You need to get the Band-Aid out and patch up your son's finger or your daughter's finger when they cut it, or put a Band-Aid on their leg. You need to change the tire.
Yep.
You need to get the water when you're thirsty, right? I mean, you need to push the bad guys away or lock the door or do whatever, or get the fire extinguisher, put the fire out. You know, these are all just very basic things, but that is preparedness. Every one of those, knowing the action steps that you need to take to defend yourself and your family before a first responder or another responsible party can show up and defend you, that's your responsibility. So, you know, we can see the fraud, we can see the problems, and I certainly hope that, you know, there are good people who are going to hold the evil accountable. But however, like General Flynn likes to say, local action has a national impact, and there's nothing more local than your household.
Yeah, 100%, because that time matters. I mean, it could be, you know, between 15 seconds to 7, 8, maybe 9 minutes before the law shows up, you know, police officers. But that 15 seconds is a world of difference. I mean, so much can happen in that time. A lot can happen in that time. Let me ask you this. And you brought it up where Alex Jones, members of the InfoWars were, you know, and it really looks like it's a coordinated attack. Do you think that the U.S. military, they're divided within inside of the U.S. military right now? Same thing within the FBI. Now, there was a story that was going around, and I haven't personally been able to verify it, and they're saying there's some stuff going on, but within the FBI, where Kash Patel is possibly looking at getting his own security because of what's happening in the FBI. And this might be part of the reason why things are kind of quiet right now, because there's a division in the FBI. And the reason why it's really believable that he might need to have security is because many of them said that if he becomes director, that they're just going to quit. But they didn't quit. They stayed in possibly shredding documents and deleting data and do whatever they can to undermine President Trump's administration. Do you think there's division in the FBI and the military? And do you think this has anything related to what happened with the people with Alex Jones, InfoWars?
Absolutely. There's absolutely division. We can see it. You know, when we could see division and an undermining of our nation over the last 4 years, is clear as day, right? The attack, the FBI, and I happen to know, so I went to college with some guys that went in the FBI. I served in the military with some guys that went to the Department of Homeland Security. I know some guys that, you know, that do all kinds of different things. You know, and a lot of them, they're good men, and I would stand by them forever. And what we have seen is the weaponization of every industry or every agency, against Americans. You know, the thing about the military is that a good soldier follows orders.
Yes.
You know, almost to a flaw or to a fault at times, right? You know, and in the Marine Corps, it was mission accomplishment first and then troop welfare second. So it was always about the mission. And if I was given a directive from a senior leader in order to go carry out a mission. That was what my job is. That was it. That's what I did. And that's a good soldier, right? That's what you want in a military, someone that's willing to follow orders without question. However, when that military has become usurped by someone like a traitor like Milley, or some of these higher echelons, some of these 40 generals who we don't even know what they're doing, and maybe they're probably bad actors and they're probably compromised, because that seems to be what's happening.
Yeah.
Just like inside the FBI, you have dissemination amongst the ranks. You have infighting, you have treason and, traitorous activities, and they can't quit because they're guilty of crimes, probably punishable by life imprisonment or worse. And if they quit, the evidence is just left in the system and left on the desk. They're unable to walk away without doing everything they can to try to cover CY their A's and also CY their other A's. Because, if they quit, like I said, it's all still there. And then, Kash Patel or some patriot, blue-blooded American will come in there and discover what they've done.
So, that's been one of the questions I've been asking about when these people get caught doing this criminal activity. They just step down and it's like, oh, it's perfectly fine now. I mean, because I stepped down, you can't do anything to me, right? I resign, like Comey. Comey, after, I can't stand that people can commit crimes and then just go, well, you can't come after me because I stepped down. I'm no longer there, right?
Where's the justice in America? How could you ever possibly, as an American citizen, trust an institution or an agency anymore after we can see that the agency has clearly been guilty of crimes against humanity or crimes against its own people? And then, Congress gets the money launder. They go, oh, look, they stole all this money. Okay, well, we'll just go home today. I mean, no. How about handcuffs? How about get my money back?
Yes.
How about anything? I mean, accountability is a must. And, I pray that President Trump, Kash Patel, Pam Bondi, Dan Bongino, anybody, any American, an agent, an FBI agent that I don't even know, if you're listening to this, it is your time. God is watching you. It is the time to make the right decision and do the right thing for you, your country, your family, and the future of this great nation. And, you've been given a responsibility to watch over this nation, and it's time to take that responsibility seriously and do so. Yep,
absolutely, absolutely. So I didn't realize this, but if people call the phone number and say, hey, I want to use code Johnson, they get 10% off. I'm like, this is really phenomenal. So I encourage everyone to go to Prep Gear Plus or just call the phone number. I think if you call the phone number right now, because they're working on the back end for the code right now on the different codes. But if you just call the number, to my understanding, you get 10% off.
That's right. Yeah, just call it. Say you heard us here on Will Johnson, and you're looking for some gear. You're looking to back your family up. I mean, we got all kinds of great things. Satellite device. I'll give you this $300 bivy stick for free. It's free. You can have it. We'll give you some phones we'll give you for free. I know that if you prepay on a couple of the plans, we'll give you a solar generator for free.
Nice.
We got all kinds of great deals, and you get your 10% off just because we love you, Will. You're great and you're doing God's work, and we appreciate you. But look, we just want to get this gear in everyone's hands. I can talk doom and gloom all day and how disappointed I am in the government, but that doesn't matter, because when I wake up alone. President Trump's not in bed with me, so it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what he does. I got to handle my life right here. And that's just what we're trying to do. So we want to get all this great gear in the hands of all these great Americans so that they can take care of their families no matter what happens.
And I love the gear. I love the gear. I love the bug out bags. Again, the backpack, the solar generator. I really, really like the solar generator. It's been kind of murky here, so I couldn't, what my plan is I want to take my solar generator out and just set it up and just, do a video, just like an info video, just, say what I've learned about it, the pros and cons, there's pros and cons and everything, be honest, but I really love it. The whole fact that I can go somewhere and I don't have anything to plug it in to charge it. I can just set it up and let it absorb the sun. Yeah. And then I can still use, charge my cell phone. Not that if I go camping, I won't use my cell phone. I try to disconnect from everything, but it's just the point. For emergency reasons, my satellite, my satellite phone, you use it at some point, it's going to run down. I'll be able to charge it with the generator, the solar generator. So it's really amazing, really amazing. And And as I mentioned before, if you're just going on a trip, going out and outing, camping, hiking, whatever it is, having the bivy stick and the bivy stick uses Bluetooth to your regular cell phones. You can send text messages, your locations, set it up to send alerts out a whole bunch of people. Phenomenal, really great. That's like one of the key features for me, is to be able to just push that one button and send out a message to multiple people and your location. Yeah. I mean, it's like a no-brainer. I mean, it really is.
Yeah, the gear's out there for everybody, and it's great stuff. There's so much good tech, and on-grid for stuff that's on-grid and off-grid. But, we focus mostly on off-grid on those times that you would need it. But, it's not all doom and gloom. Like you said, camping, fishing, hiking, just going out for a day. It's fun to play, have all of your modern tech all out there in the middle of the woods. It makes for a lovely time. But yeah, we just encourage everyone to get all the good stuff. We got a lot of good gears. We're trying to get it in people's hands as cheap as possible, as fast as possible, as affordable as possible, because we know that it's necessary and life-saving. And we truly just love this country and want to see everybody thrive. So we really appreciate you. Thanks for everything you're doing.
Yeah, 100%. And, thank you so much for coming on. And I still at some point, I need to connect with you so we can go shoot a mortar. I mean, I need some training, okay?
Do some hunting, some fishing.
Yes.
Come on out. Let's do it.
Absolutely. Brett Miller, right. Thank you so much.
God bless you.
God bless. God bless. Yes. So go to Prep Gear Plus, everyone, and just check it out. I mean, you'll be pleasantly surprised. The bug out bags, and I don't have one with me right here, but there's a bag where I can just slide my phone into it and boom, off the grid. Even right here, off the grid. So it's pretty awesome. PrepGearPlus.com. Go check it out. Now, I do have a couple more things that I want to kind of talk to you about before we get out of here. And one, they actually passed the CR bill. They passed the CR bill.
Yes, they did.
Last night.
Good job, Republicans.
Good job, Republicans.
A clean CR bill, by the way.
Yes, and I think there was actually a couple Democrats that actually voted for it too.
I thought it was just one, but
the one I saw a few of them voted for it, right?
Okay.
Because I guess they don't want to look like that. Well, we shut the government down, so
they must be up. Yeah.
This is something that President Trump was advocating for, and President Trump was pushing for it, and the Republicans did what they had to do. And I know there was some Republicans that were going back and forth, not happy with it. But who is it? Was it Massey? Massey? Yeah, sorry, Massey. President Trump said that he's going to primary him. So, look, they have every right to be in disagreement with one another, and they have every right to do it. And President Trump has the right to help out who he wants to help out. I mean, it is part of the game. Well, I just want to play this one for you. This was about, and this is from Burchett. Listen to what Burchett had to say about all of this and why the Democrats want to shut the government down.
Congressman, why do you think Democrats are trying to shut down the government?
Because I think they're trying to inflict as much pain in a political type situation, and that's very pitiful. And also, they want to shut down Doge because it's getting very close to home, and they know it. They're getting calls from their big contributors saying, hey, man, we're getting this federal money, and y'all getting ready to cut it off. We're not going to be able to feed the trough, the campaign trough.
Yeah. So basically, that's what it is. That's exactly what it is. They want to be able to shut down Doge. They want to shut down everything that President Trump is doing. And the Democrats saw this as an opportunity to shut it all down. And it didn't happen. It did not happen. So good for the Republicans in the House. Good for them for doing the right thing.
Yeah, now it's got to go through the Senate. And, Mike Johnson said, hey, listen, the Republicans did their job in the House.
Yep.
Now it's up to Schumer and them if they want to actually shut down the government. But the Republicans are doing their job. Yep, they're actually doing their job. So, and, talking about, the budget and everything. And listen to this one. This was back in 2010. Now you're looking at this video like, man, this video looks, and looking at Chuck Schumer, he's aged a lot since 2010. Well, it's been 15 years. Yeah.
15 years?
Yeah, but a lot of the Democrats now are saying there's no waste in Social Security.
There's no waste.
Right, but that was a different story when Trump wasn't in office.
Listen to this. Listen to Chuck Schumer here.
About a third of all of the spending that's done in Medicare, Medicaid, I would imagine a lot of it's in the private sector as well, doesn't go to really good health care, goes to other things. And the real nub of this is, how do we wring that waste out, that fraud, abuse, duplication?
Really? Will the real Chuck Schumer please stand up? Please stand up. Really? You hear what he's saying? I mean, and you know what? He's not saying this at all today. He wants the fraud and abuse to happen.
Yeah, there's also a video of Nancy Pelosi saying the same thing. We need to get rid of waste and fraud in our Social Security and Medicaid. I mean, they know it's there. They know it's there.
Yeah, they know it's there.
But they don't want Trump to take credit or have the credit for fixing the bureaucracy and the issues that are going on in the government. And just like Bridget said, they don't want their troughs to be emptied.
No.
Their money troughs.
Yeah, they don't want it to be empty. They've been enjoying all of the, I guess, corruption that they've been receiving from all of this money.
These people have been getting rich.
Kickbacks. 100% kickbacks. I mean, that's the only explanation I can think of. Right? And you know what? There's let me see, do I have it? There's actually, I guess we don't, you know what? I meant to get it. There's actually a video where, I think it was on MSDNC, don't hold me to it, but they were actually having a conversation about why President Trump is stopping all of this fraudulent spending from going out. And the guy was asking, they said, do you not want it to end? Why would you advocate for the fraudulent spending to continue to take place? And this is what's been happening. All of the liberal media outlets, they're justifying the wasteful spending. Like they don't have a problem with the wasteful spending. And then they go, well, aren't there other things that you can be focusing on instead of focusing on, this little bit of wasteful spending, because it's not really big in the whole scheme of things. Leave all of that wasteful spending, leave it alone. Go focus on something that is really big. And President Trump and Elon Musk, Doge, they're not doing that. They're focusing on everything. They're focused on everything. And they're not even just going after the low-hanging fruit. They're going after everything. And that's the problem Democrats have right now with President Trump, of course, because he's doing something that no president, I don't think, has ever done this in the history of this nation. We're seeing history in the making, and it is absolutely wonderful to see it take place. It really is. Like, I don't have any issues with what President Trump is doing. Or you have issues? Now, just to let you know, I do look in the comments, right? And, a lot of times I have to make sure, maybe I should make it known before, right when I first start the show. I do look at your comments, and I see your comments when you're commenting on the show. Like, I look on X. I see on Rumble, same thing on YouTube and on Facebook and Peel.net. I do look at your comments when you do leave me comments. And sometimes I'm just kind of flipping through. I can't pay too much attention, but just to let you know, I do look at the comments. And I'm just kind of curious. I was asking John Ritchie and Brett Miller about, do you think that President Trump should hold these people accountable? I'm just kind of curious, just yes or no in the comments. Just yes or no. Should President Trump hold all of these people accountable? Or should he just, work on the economy, work on, the issues with the tariffs, which reflects with the economy? Or do you think President Trump can chew gum and walk and have a conversation at the same time? I don't think I've ever seen President Trump chewing gum. But now that I think about it, I don't think I've ever seen him chewing gum. He may chew gum while he's on the golf course. Maybe. I don't know. Not that it matters. I'm just kind of curious now. But yeah, everyone is saying yes. I see you in the comments. Thank you so much on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Rumble. Thank you so much. And X, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, I think he should hold these people responsible. Enough is enough. It has to come to an end. Really needs to come to an end. All right, everybody. That is it for me. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you haven't already, please like, follow, and subscribe. Hit the thumbs up for me. Hit the thumbs up. Bless me by hitting the thumbs up. it really makes a difference on the algorithms. More people will see this, even on the replay. And Monday through Friday, right here, 11 o'clock Central. I go live 11 o'clock Central, Monday through Friday, right here. And we're live on X America News as well. God bless everyone. See you tomorrow. Stay safe out there.